Central Bank of Nigeria has revoked the license of Heritage Bank PLC with immediate effect. The action became necessary due to the bank's breach of, according to the CBN, Section 12, subsection 1 of the BOIFA 2023 Act. Now, the board and management of the bank have not been able to improve the bank's financial performance, a situation which constitutes a threat to financial stability. This follows a period during which the CBN engaged with the bank and prescribed various supervisory steps intended to stem the decline. Regrettably, the bank has continued to suffer and has no reasonable prospects, according to the CBN, of recovery, thereby making the revocation of the license the next necessary step. But the CBN is urging customers not to panic. Deposit Insurance Corporation has taken over those banks. All right, now, meeting last night between organized labor and the leadership of the National Assembly to try to find a middle ground and prevent the proposed nationwide strike by labor ended in a stalemate, with the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress insisting that they will go ahead and actually have with their strike today, while negotiations on their demands would continue. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, told journalists in Abuja that efforts by the National Assembly leadership to convince the labor unions to suspend the strike had failed. Akpabio noted with concern that organized labor's action would paralyze the economy and bring more hardship to Nigeria. Oil and gas news, Oando PLC, full year 2023 earnings that were released. The earnings, the company was actually topped the NGX on Friday. Top gainers, take a look at those numbers. Revenue coming in at 3.4 trillion. Gross profit did fall by a couple of percentage points, 77 billion. Operating income, 941% climb there. Profit before tax at 104 billion. Profit after tax rising by 191% to 74.7 billion naira. Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu has a full plate to discuss this today. Chika, you're very welcome. Good morning to you. Fine, thank you.
Let's quickly talk about Heritage Bank. What do you think?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, what are your thoughts on what's on?
NDIC has done its work. Heritage Bank, as some people will know, had its roots from Society General Bank. You won't believe this. In 2006, CBN took the license of Society General Bank, and Society General Bank took NDIC, took CBN to court and won. So in 2012, they got their license bank as a regional bank, but transited, changing them to Heritage Banking Company. And that's how they started business. And then in 2014, they acquired a bigger bank, for about almost 60 billion naira, enterprise bank. We analysts believe then that was our albatross. That's actually like a small child carrying a bag of cement on top, it will literally crush you. And the baggage that came with that acquisition has been what has kept the bank to where it is today. Just for our viewers, as level 0, a bank starts with the capital. You get a license. You're supposed to go out there and look for depositors funds, and then you use the depositors fund to give loans, make profit, make sure the loans come back, and you continue to trade. If you make losses, the CBN will invite you to put some additional money to make up your capital, and that's how banks grow. But after a time, the losses become so much, the capital is eroded, and you can't, make up the capital when CBN asks you. What happens then is that CBN comes in and takes your license, and the issue now for depositors, as NDSM now appointed a liquidator, is what next for the depositors. Now, remember, all the banks have been paying deposit premium. Now, the law says for the depositors, they're going to be recompensed up to 500,000 naira for each depositor, at least on the first instance. And then subsequently, if there are any recoveries, then there'll be more payments to depositors. So everything will get into the flow now, and hopefully depositors will not lose too much.
Thank you so much for that breakdown. I do want to get your thoughts on oil and gas. This
let me talk about Oando.
Oando's results.
There was this saying in one big book, one great book. It says, can anything good come out from Nazareth?
Right.
So when these results, I thought about talking about this, a lot of analysts who are friends came, they say, can anything good come out from Oando? And they're not wrong, because in the recent past, Oando has been just a litany of bad news. Do recall, they have been releasing all the results. Indeed, the 2022 result they brought out, they had made a loss of about 85 billion.
That's right.
Naira. And so it has been just bad news upon bad news and bad news. And so when this come out, Nabila say, Chika, what are they going to analyze? And so, but we are here to inform and educate,
of course,
our listeners, so that those who have investment there as he pointed out, they had the best performance.
Yeah, topped the NGX, the stock market on Friday. Yeah.
You know, they have gotten a couple of things right, and that's why he had this improvement. That in the last 2023 result, they made up, instead of a loss of 84 billion, they made a profit of 75 billion in the year 2023. And the business segments of Oando can be divided into two, really. Basically, one is the oil production, which we know. You know, they have OML 663, and other marginal fields they're working on. And then trading, they're heavy in trading. So trading basically crude oil and then refined products. This business, the profitability you see, moving from a loss of 84 billion to a profit of 25 billion, is driven by the production was really flat, you know, but I'll talk about it in a minute. A lot of the profit came from trading. The trading volumes moved by about 50% in crude oil trades. Even though white products, the refined products fell. Because understandably, you know, we are importing less now because of Dangote refinery. So it's not understandable. Now, the other thing that I want to put out there is this, that they had a solitary impact. You know, we have been analyzing banks here. I'm talking about foreign exchange impact on their performance. Also, Oando profited from that. So the impact of, positive impact on the assets, foreign assets, you know, due to reflection in foreign exchange, against their liabilities, get them a lot of, you know, support in this kind of result they got now. So part of positive trading, result in trading, positive in FX translations led to this performance they had now. Now, see the industry issue we have. Look at this. They in the crude oil production, barely about 6,000 barrels per day. You know, these are wells that can actually do about, at a maximum, about 45,000 barrels per day. But, you know, the issue of the, you know what it is, the vandalism, you know, and all that in the Niger Delta has affected all of them. But I mean, they look forward to the future with hope, and I'm hoping
very encouraging
result. With hope and that. And the other thing that they set up a subsidiary, you know, Oando Clean Energy. You may have seen it in the press.
The
CNG gas, buses. They have a lot of arrangements with some public sector, Lagos government, public sector and private sector companies in pushing that frontier. And then, you know, as Seplat is celebrating their sign off of their acquisition.
The mobile.
Oando believes, you know, they're also in ENI. Ajib, They're hoping that and believe that before the end of the year, that acquisition will be signed off on. Double their reserves and double their production volumes. And then hopefully some good news will come out from Oando. You know? Can anything good come out from Oando?
You've answered, it looks encouraging.
Some come out from there.
Thank you for that, Chika. The strike in Bata.
I mean, the nation is in standstill. You know, Nigeria will list lastminute.com. In the National Assembly, for the press people, you know, yesterday night and whatever, they try to intervene when they could have done this in a long time ago.
For almost a year.
Almost a year now. They could have done this and... You know, and remember we talked about this in this program, that you're asking people to sacrifice, yet there's brazen, ostentatious display of wealth by those who rule us. You know, national assembly people are driving fine cars, and everything. We hear about the amount of money they're spending on transportation and everything.
Labour people echoed what you just said.
But you're telling people to make sacrifice. I'm not saying that the 400 or 500,000 minimum living wage is realistic or whatever, but I'm saying that if you're asking people to sacrifice, you know, you should come to a with clean hand. I have a feeling that those who are intervening in the process, it's like the black people, the black world were going to negotiate for loan in New York or Washington. And we're going to with Ferrari and Cadillacs and whatever, living in five-star hotels. Meanwhile, I want to go and borrow money. You know, so you're asking people to sacrifice, labor to sacrifice, and then, you know, look back and see the kind of things, you know, between the president and the vice president, Hollande has spent about almost more than about 8 billion on traveling in 1 year. You know, so many other expenditures. Every time you open paper, you see, you know, leakages and it's like one living. You see CS costs with about 20 or 30 SUVs. And so who is sacrificing? Who's sacrificing? And so people tell you the nation is rich. So that's actually Labour. Labour says for us to be able to do all these things, people in power are doing all these things. That means the nation is rich. So they cannot, therefore they can afford to pay this minimum wage. But I think that, you know, the Labour should look at these figures again, because I believe that 500,000 or 400,000 naira per minimum wage, and then the consequential increases. One figure says about 10 trillion in a year on payroll. For a budget of 27 trillion per annum, more than half of it. I mean, so, but it's our nation. You have seen other politicians around the world who have come out to say we're sacrificing, let's sacrifice. Remember, you saw the thing about the Kenyan president.
The jets he took
the jet
to
America,
over,
and then he had to address it.
Yeah.
And he said, see, Kenyans, I want to tell you something, that I'm not stupid. I feel your pain. I cannot be telling you to make sacrifices, and I'm living big. I did a calculation. I found that this is what I've done to go to New York or Washington, D.C. is the cheapest for our country.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. So you listen to that, those kind of people, you're happy because they're making sacrifices. So that's what it is. I believe that Labour should look at it also, that do they want unemployment or do they want high minimum wage?
Yeah.
Because when that happens, you're going to have a lot of institutions that are going to let people go.
Yeah.
And that's going to be that. So let's balance it properly and negotiate better,
We'll see how things go. Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu, thank you so much. Heritage Bank, Oando, the strike situation. Thank you for your analysis on this issue.